One of the things about adding on, is that the building is 65 years old. No, 60 years old, born 60, mid 65. Screw that up. So let's say they would have put a new hand on me, grafted one on, from a 10-year-old. Skin is different, boniness is different, texture, weather, age, it's never really going to look like it fits. If you're dealing with material like this building, like with stone or brick, they're never going to match the brick exactly, and they're never going to be able to match the stone. Now, if you're doing a residence, for example, something that I want to put an addition on the back, a master suite or a family room, the only way to get that addition to actually match the entire house is that you almost have to take all the siding off the existing and re-side the entire house the same as the new addition, ladies. So that's a bit of a costly expense. I just got quotes to re-side my house. It was $60,000 to re-side the house. I mean, it's a big house, so we're like, it's not freaking money. $60,000. I mean, do a whole trim and soffits and. Kind of insane. So, you just can't add on. So the first kind of addition we're going to have, if that's Meyer's house, that's called a butt joint. That means you're actually going to take two surfaces and try to line them up. But since the siding is part of the historic genre of this and part of the integrity, the siding is 60 years old. So the weathering, the face, the cut of it, the width, it's never going to match a new thing unless you rip out all of the siding. So this is called a butt joint. We're going to avoid a butt joint because it doesn't quite really add on properly. It's a kind of a bad way to do things. When we typically do a joint, we want to do a shift. That's a shift. So we get these inside corners. When you come to inside corners, you can actually change materials here, and you can actually do a different type of material because it's not a flush, exactly flush. Trying to get the siding exactly flush is really hard. You know, putting in the siding, putting in the sheathing, not even using felt. You actually get, it's hard to match that up unless you rip out all the siding and redo it. We don't want to do that. Is it good? This is called a shift. This conceptually is a lot clearer, and it also shows it keeps the integrity of Meyer's building, so you know where that went, and it shows where your new project is. So that integrity thing is kind of important because Meyer's building is famous, and we want to make sure that integrity is left in place. So we're going to do a new thing. It has to have its own presence, but it's got to fit. Yes.
You said that the actual building had a renovation with an add-on. Is
Yeah,
that butt joint?
Yes, it's a terrible renovation. I'll be honest with you. I don't think Meyer's firm did it, and I don't think Meyer would have done that either. Meyer's a Why did I pick Meyer's project as a platform? He's a super conceptual designer. So all those systems that we looked at, those are really clear. A lesser architect, it's a mess. They don't have a clear idea, and they're just doing the functions. That's the first thing. The second thing is if Meyer was adding on, he would have conceptually done something clearer to show that. So it's a small house in a gajillion-dollar neighborhood. So, I mean, these owners, you know, if you're gonna spend $8 million, I think it's sold for $8 or $14 million. I don't know. You can look it up on Zillow. I'm like, little tiny. The houses next door, I mean, are super big. That little tiny wing is bigger than this entire house. So, and if Meyer did do the addition, you would see it on his website. This is a highly published. So someone came in, Meyer probably says, you can't do that. And they said, well, then we're gonna go hire someone else. And he said, fine, that works for me. I wouldn't put it past Meyer. Meyer was kind of that way. You either want what Meyer does, or find another architect. That's a bad attitude. Typically, most architects, I'll do anything you want, because you're starving. So that's a reveal, that's a shift. The other thing is you can actually put a reveal in. That's a reveal. You purposely show the joint, so now you're clearly demarking where Meyer is and where your new addition is. Reveals are used all over the place. Sometimes they're using expansion joints. So a lot of times, so when you look at this, you know where Meyer's project was and how you add it on. A lot of people, you say, so why is this so common in residential architecture in a lot of ways? Because in residential architecture, they're stuck with setbacks, side yard setbacks, front yard setbacks, rear yard setbacks, and function in the backyard. So they're very constrained, and some of them really don't care about this conceptual thing, but they really want us, we'll just reside the whole thing. Or maybe the house is only, we resided it 5 years ago, and they can get the siding to match. It's possible. All right? So that's a reveal. The next one is a joint and a hinge. These are very similar. That's a hinge. A hinge allows you a really good visible break and allows you the opportunity to rotate stuff. So for example, you want to rotate towards a view, the sun, the moon, the water. You've got a rationale. You want this particular angle. This means something to the owner, who knows? That's a rotation. That's a hinge. A joint, very similar. It's bigger than a reveal, but it now becomes a three-dimensional object within that gig. Peg, similar, except it starts to get even narrower. Then there's this whole bunch of geometric proportions and ratios. So Meyer's project So he takes the radius and a circle to get the proportion of the box. That's a geometric one, right? We could take this dimension is A, and this dimension is B, and we can say to ourselves, So let's say you wanted to add on something here. You knew A, maybe you want to do something here, B. So now you're dealing with the ratios and the proportions and the geometry of Meyer as a way to set up limits and define boundaries in order to work on this. Let me give you an example. I think I've covered almost, I've covered almost all of them. So what do we have here, folks, as a design? Actually, I'll use this one. So if I actually take this box and draw a box from here to here, it's the same box that's over here. Everyone see that? That's the mass, that's the void, that's the geometry. This line defines the boundary. Nick, you want to pay attention. This defines the boundary So here we have a geometry. These are the floor plans. This is the void, this is the mass. So you can see how he actually designs this house. Now this is an entire house, it's not an addition. But you get a sense of how we do geometries. Some of Peter Eisenman's houses, the box, the shift, the voids, the masses. How we dissect and think about this. Rotations. This one's kind of crazy. Here we took this box in here and rotates it this way. So we have that and that within this. The confines, all kind of cool stuff. So that's kind of cool. These are all these geometric things to think about. Why don't we take a 10-minute break, and then we'll come back and I'm gonna do a demo